Welcome back to an episode of the Diamond Download. Today I'm standing up, and I think that this is probably going to be the best thing we've ever done for the podcast. My energy's crazy. What's up, Chase?
Yeah, and you look like you're in the clouds. It's awesome.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing really, really well. I missed you last week, so excited to be back. How are you?
Yeah, I miss you too. Yeah, I miss you too, man. Last week was a little crazy, but we're back, better than ever, feeling good. Dude, you ever bite your tongue? Dude, I bit my tongue in my sleep, and now I can't talk.
Uh,
So I'm gonna. It's all right. Also, too, met my girlfriend's dad over the weekend.
how was it? How'd it go?
Dude, I mean, okay, so here's the thing. So he speaks no English, only Spanish, and I speak some Spanish. And so therefore, I had to speak Spanish because it was the only language that we had in common, but my Spanish still sucks. And so I was kind of at a disadvantage because I was trying, but he knows more Spanish than I do. So like he was able to communicate and I kind of wasn't. Um, but it was solid, dude. It was good. I took, the sisters out shopping, and then we went to Carbon. I bought everybody gifts. I
So
bought
cool.
I bought them like, a pair of shoes to show, like, like, "Here's my entry fee into the family." It was solid.
So it's getting serious.
I mean, yeah, dude. It's been over a year now. We got a little Mrs. Cardinal, you know what I mean?
Dang, are you gonna pop? She doesn't watch this episode, I'm imagining. Are you gonna pop the question?
Not anytime soon, man. Slow down.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, dude, congrats. It's
Um,
amazing.
Dude, next episode, you should stand up. This is great.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get a standing desk by then, but maybe, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Alright, let's jump into these topics. First one I got is I want to talk about like recovery stories. And I don't mean anything like Narcotics Anonymous or anything like that. I feel like that's a little bit dark. I sense that you've never touched drugs before. So not that. I mean more so in terms of businesses like this, right? For everyone. Doesn't matter who you are. Some months are amazing, some months suck. Sometimes you have a string of months that really suck. And I really want to know if you ever had a period of time where business in general was just sucking. Everything was just like kind of shitting the bed. And I want to know kind of what you did to get around it. I have like kind of a version of it, more of like a mindset shift thing that I had to go through. Um, but like, do you have any sort of like revival stories where it's like business sucked and then you did something and now it's better?
Yeah, it's interesting. Nothing in particular though. Like nothing right now immediately, but in the past, I remember like when I was running kind of I think my first agency with some buddies. We kind of were doing it as a side hustle initially. We all had jobs and we weren't sending contracts. We weren't sending agreements. We were just a couple, I don't know, 21, 22-year-old kids that were working with clients and we weren't invoicing in a timely manner. So I just remember a number of times when we had this first agency that we just would send invoices, I don't know, 60, 90 days late. We would send invoices. Companies would like went bankrupt. Companies just wouldn't pay. So I just remember a period of time where I'm like, oh man, this isn't all that it was chalked up to be. Just like we were counting on this money, in my head, right? I had like no money. This was money I was going to be living on and maybe being able to move out of the house and, whatever it might be. I just remember some of those things like the first agencies, like just being brutal, like doing all this work for weeks and months on end, sending the invoice, we were so excited. We were going to get paid 5 grand, 15 grand, whatever it was, 20 grand. And the money never came and we had no way of getting it. I remember that being really hard. And those were with, clients within the US. And then I remember we had some clients internationally at one point where we did the work. We didn't get paid up front. We didn't really have you know, a great agreement. And even if we did, like being able to do agreements between the US and let's say, outside the US, it's really hard to enforce. Like what governing body is going to enforce that someone has to pay you if they're not within your country? So we kind of got screwed a number of times and that was tough.
Damn. Okay. And so what did you do to kind of like bring that back?
Oh man. I mean, dude, I want to say like back then we probably were owed tens of thousands of dollars. I think in aggregate, like if I look at every time someone hasn't paid and kind of stiffed me or one of my businesses, it's probably somewhere around like six figures, I would imagine. So I remember back then, it just like lit a fire under us. It's like, all right, we really need to button up. It was expensive to pay a lawyer, but it was more expensive to not have a lawyer. So I think we got like a lawyer just to draft up some kind of pretty cookie cutter standard agreements that protected us. It allowed us to really try to push to get paid up front, and or be way more timely in like when we're sending invoices. Like if we're sending an invoice net 30, send it out right away and then follow up throughout, net 14, net 21, net 30. Hey, are we looking good? Are we on time? So I think for me, it just allowed me to have a little bit more process and kind of corporatize, for lack of a better word, and just have more procedures in place that people knew that we were serious and we weren't just 21-year-old kids that if we got screwed, we were just going to go away, that we were going to be a little bit more kind of, I guess, combative about it. Like we never really called anyone out. We never really did anything we probably should have. We kind of just like, well, this sucks. We're going to chalk it up and work on the next one. So I think like that just learned to like trust people, but also have systems in place that allowed you to get paid for the work that you did.
Mhm. Dude, okay, so this is so interesting because with an agency, especially once you get bigger dude, I had a tweet about this, I'm pretty sure. Did you see my tweets about
No,
this?
what was it?
Hold on, let me find this stuff. Agency life gets better once you get bigger than your clients. First year freelancer equals get bitched around by clients with big pockets. Third year freelancer slash agency owner equals you become daddy and your client can't say shit to you. You're richer than them. The best status dynamic. And then I quoted it and I go, fun example. Broke freelancer. Client doesn't pay your invoice and goes. Zero recourse. 500K a month agency. Your six-figure ecom brand client doesn't pay invoice. You don't need their 8K retainer, but they disrespected you. You have a confident lawyer on retainer to send scary letters to their place of business and bury them if you so choose. Another one, broke freelancer. Client disagrees with your marketing strategy. Okay, sorry, boss, won't happen again. Big agency. I make more money than you and therefore know more about marketing and you should sit down and listen. Okay, sorry, agency, you're right, my bad. Basically just talking about how much better it is to like be bigger than your client. And I remember around the time I like kind of shut down Cardinal Agency, like not from the agency, but from other ventures, I was making way more than a lot of these clients. And so I was thinking, like, dude, like, you should be listening to me. But also, when you have the resources, that was kind of a tangent. When you have the resources to go against someone like personal brand or like big pockets, I think you should do that. Like, you can now send people to collections if they don't pay on time. You know what I mean? Like, if you have an agreement and they owe you this amount of money, you can like kind of ruin their credit score if they just decide they don't want to pay you. Also, like with Stripe and everything, I'm assuming you guys don't use Stripe, but you have cards on file, so you can run their card. If they're like not paying, like there's like they owe you money, you just like run their card. Oh, they're not gonna pay the invoice, you run it. Um, so yeah, I mean, you probably don't run into issues like that anymore, do you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, on the personal brand side, like when I do newsletter sponsors, most people pay up front. Sometimes people will do like net 30. And if anyone's ever late, I never call them out publicly, but privately, I'm just like, hey, we agreed on net 30. I did my stuff timely. We're now at net 45 or 60. Like, what's up? So I'll kind of be like, I don't want to say aggressive because I don't mean it in a bad way, but I'll be just like on top of it and I'll follow up. And I don't think anyone's not paid since, like, at least on the personal brand side. And I never would call anyone out publicly unless it was something insane. And I never threaten anyone, never really run their cards, but I always am, I guess persistent is the right word. I'm persistent with the emails. Like, hey, we had this agreement. I held up my end of the bargain. You haven't done yours. What's up? Like, what's the rebuttal? And I think if you approach it from that type of thing and you do have, I guess, some kind of status or whatever it is, and if you did your part, it's more expensive for these people to not pay you is really kind of learning.
100%.
And with
And
everyone.
dude, that
Yeah.
it breaks my heart when I see it with my students too, because like I don't really have to, I don't have to worry about that ever. Like everybody that owes me money pretty much pays.
Yeah.
But like I have students who are starting their, freelancing businesses and they get a client and like the client doesn't pay and they have nothing that they can do. Like
Yeah.
they have like, $500 to their name. There's not much that they can do. And so it's brutal because like I remember this one kid, his name was Lewis.
Okay.
Super super smart kid, very motivated, 17 years old, joined the program. And then once he joined, he was like kind of out of money. And he was like grinding, trying to make it back, and he was going to. He signed this client on a rev share deal, and he ended up making them like stupid amount of money. And he was owed like 14K.
Wow.
And that would have been a huge payday for him. 17 years old, gets ghosted. There's nothing they can do. I was like, dog, like if only you just like got their card on file for like $1. Like none of this would have happened. He didn't have a contract, he didn't have anything in place. So like I've seen a lot more of that, and it just makes me murderous because like that's when I feel like it's kind of on me and you to like call these people out and be like, hey, like you fucked this little kid over. Like you owe money. You should pay up.
Oh, dude, there's this guy that owes my brother Connor money. He owes my brother probably 15 grand. And it's been a long time and it sucks. But my brother Connor was like, "Hey, if I post on LinkedIn being respectful about it, will you engage?" And I engaged. And dude, I want to say within the first 20 minutes, Connor had like 80 to 100 likes. He had dozens of comments of just people being like, "Hey, so and so, this is so messed up. Like, make sure you pay Connor." And Connor like was so respectful to the guy. And he basically was just like, "Hey, so and so, you keep ghosting me. You say you're going to do it. You're not going to do it. I figured this is probably the best way to get a hold of you. Check your email and get back to me regarding the invoice." Like he was really respectful. It was really polite. He didn't say, "You owe me money for the last 18 months." He didn't say, anything crazy. And then the guy, of course, reached out right away. So like, of course, not everyone could or should do that, but it's hard when these people don't get paid. And I've been there. I've been the peer person that hasn't been paid. And like I mentioned, it's been probably somewhere around 100, 120 grand that I've missed out on collecting over the past number of years. And unfortunately, this isn't just me. It's the people in your program. It's a bunch of other people. So it's really unfortunate.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's turned into like a totally like different topic, but I like the direction it went
Yeah.
in.
What about you? What's your
Um,
answer?
for recovery stories,
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so mine's like super specific on like exactly what to do, but I think to make it more like applicable to everybody, I think it's super important that people like number one understand that like business is supposed to go down. It's the way it is.
Yeah.
I did a video about this. It's probably gonna get posted soon about how like if you want predictable income and predictable like day to day, like everything's gonna be exactly the same, go and get a job. You already don't want to get a job because you hate that stuff. Like you'd rather have the high highs and low lows. So understand that that comes with it. Um, I think it's also important for people to remember that like it's never actually over. Like the jig is never up. It's like dips will happen, but like consistency is rewarded. So like I don't think you're like a super spiritual person, Chase. I never really heard that from you, but there are things that happen that just don't make sense, but they just happen anyway. You know what I mean? I feel like there are things that you can do. For example, I read an email a while ago about tipping, about how like giving money away, it's one of the 7 spiritual laws of success. Deepak Chopra. And they talk about how when the flow of money stops with you, where like you hoard all the money that you make, you stop making it kind of. You just get less lucky.
Okay.
But when you give money away to a homeless dude, or you tip really big to a server, or you help out a family member or something like that, that money always somehow comes back to you. And it's just a weird thing that can't be explained. It's
Yeah.
not like something you can put on a balance sheet. It's not like you can say, I invested $200 in this homeless guy and then I got 5 grand back. It doesn't obviously work that way. But there are things that just like get rewarded because they just do. It's the universe, it's God, it's whatever you want to call it. And one thing I've found is like consistency, even if you're kind of working on the wrong thing sometimes and whatever you're doing isn't working and you kind of look like an idiot just pounding away at nothing.
Yeah.
I think it does do something for your karma or for your aura or your energy or whatever for the universe to see that you're being crazy consistent no matter what and working on stuff even if it's not working right now, and you will be rewarded. Like all of the unrewarded work that you put in will be rewarded somehow. And so what I think is the most important advice for everybody is just to focus on inputs. So like and also understand this stuff comes with a lag time. So for me,
Yes.
if I'm having a crappy month with copy MBA, I know that I've like there's probably a bunch of things that I can do, and there's a lot of things I can think about, and there's a lot of things that I can sort of like try and conceptualize and be a marketer about it. But like really, like more shots on net, more videos, more like clips, more tweets, more posts on whatever are going to somehow come back to me. That's like the only thing that I can actually control. It's more important than like zeroing in on like the perfect marketing message or like the perfect like edit for an ad or something like that. It's just volume across the board. And so if you're not an info guy, I'm assuming a lot of people are info people or agency people or B2B or whatever. More volume, more outreach, more content, every single thing that you can do to just put more in, you will at some point get more out. There's probably going to be like a 30 to 90 day lag time with that. But I mean, you might as well start now if you want to have a big Black Friday. Like, input now means big Black Friday, November.
Hell yeah. Dude, it's interesting. Kind of related but unrelated. I got this email in response to the Alex that we wrote on Friday. I got this email actually on Sunday. And it was basically this guy named Cody. He emailed me saying, I should have told you this already. Back when you launched your client acquisition course, I bought it as a Hail Mary. It was the last thing I needed. I couldn't get clients for 10 months. What's funny about the purchase is that I landed 2 big clients the same week, and I didn't even open the course. Not a single module was watched. I knew it was the final piece, but I didn't know you worked your magic like that. Um, Chase is launching a client acquisition course. Let's go. Mentor sets up a random connection. Random guy I meet on LinkedIn connected me with a copywriter is too much work. Success can't be a testimonial because it makes no sense, but I'm being 100% real. Hopefully, I'll never have to open the course, but if I do, I'm sure it's worth its weight in gold. So, kind of related but unrelated, this guy was just like 10 months in, couldn't land a client, couldn't land a client. He bought the course and then he didn't even go through the course. And coincidentally, that week, he signed 2 clients and he's hoping he never has to go through the course because the clients keep coming in. What a weird, like, anti testimonial. But to your point, like, he just was putting himself out there long enough and consistently enough that like things landed. It was pretty crazy.
That's that's super interesting. And you should write an email with a subject line, the worst testimonial I've ever gotten.
That's a great
And
one.
then and talk about how this whereas it like this guy technically didn't get results from the course, but it's a very interesting thing. But if you want the course, go buy this thing right now. That's a hell of an email.
That was you got too excited, but that was sick. I like that.
I think I just lost my mic. Can you still hear
You
me?
did. You did. You got too excited and you yanked the mic.
Oops. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I could hear you. The quality's not as good, but I could hear you.
Okay. Um. All right. Let's. You want to keep moving?
Yeah, let's go to the next topic.
Okay. The second one was how to be a better course seller slash online coach. This is product side stuff. So like we talk a lot about um like sales stuff. Like we talked about webinars, we talked about all kinds
Yeah.
of random stuff. And I think one thing that kind of gets overlooked a lot is like how to fill really well and like how to be better at like actually providing a service because that's really what it is, like providing a service. And so I'm curious if you have any. I have stuff. I have like notes here, but
Okay.
I'm wondering if you have any ideas on like things that you've done or things that you've noticed or things you've started doing over the years to be better at like creating courses, to be better at like actually fulfilling, better at like getting people results. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah. Is this specific for like info course or would this be relevant to like a productized service, like you're saying, like a LinkedIn growth thing? Was this specifically info course?
No, let's hear what you got for the product test service.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then you can talk about the course. One thing that I kept hearing from a lot of our clients in the growth service was they want a community, right? They wanted to knowledge share. They wanted more engagement. They just wanted a place to talk about LinkedIn. There really wasn't a great place to do that. And for the longest time, I kept really putting that off like, oh, it's too much work. I don't really think that makes sense. If I connect all of our clients together, we're going to probably get cut out, right? Type of a thing. And quite the opposite actually happened when we introduced the community, our churn, not, I can't say zero, but it went to like virtually zero. I would say, on a 250, 300 person, subscription type model, we were probably churning, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 people a month. So it was never ever crazy to begin with. Dude, since we introduced this community 2 months ago, we've maybe churned 2 people total. And at least they've said this, whether they do or don't, I don't know. They said they're both going to come back. They just have kind of a crazy next month or two. So it's more of like a pause and a cancel. And a lot of people actually do come back. Like most Mondays is when people actually come back from a month, 2, 3 months before. Um, so it was just like this interesting thing where like we were selling the growth service at $500, $600, $700 a month, right? Depending on what was all included. And then we thought that that was going to be super sticky and that's what it was. And I ignored client feedback. I ignored feedback of people that were actually paying me for a very long time because I thought my opinion was the right opinion. I was so afraid of doing this because I thought the repercussions would be they would all connect and then they would cut us out. And quite the opposite happened, right? Like people are now asking like, hey, I want to refer someone. Like, is there a referral program? So-and-so sees me engaging and doing this. Like, can they connect with you? So I think for me, like the lesson there was like, you have to listen to the feedback of your clients. I think there's one thing where there's feedback from people that aren't paying you, right? It's like what they say, take it with a grain of salt. Some stuff makes sense. A lot of stuff just inherently isn't. I think it's just noise. Whereas if someone's actually giving you money and enough people repeat the same things over time and there's a trend and a pattern, you should be quick to jump on it. And I was really slow to jump on it. It probably was 6 months straight of a handful of people every month saying something along the lines of like, I'd love to see what other clients are doing. I'd love to know if this week or that week is better for them, like type of a thing. I'd love for some trainings and some information to be in it. And I just didn't want to do it. So I think like that was a big realization for me. Like, and I'm like, damn it. I wish I had done this sooner. Had I done this sooner, instead of it being 250 to 300 people that are active right now, I don't know if we would have churned virtually anyone. Like we probably could have 350 people in or whatever the number is, 300 people. I don't know what number we'd actually have, right? We'd probably have a couple dozen more people in it and we probably would have had more referrals. So for me, that was a big learning of just like, listen to the people that are using your product every day and give them what they want. And if you don't, someone else is going to give them what they want.
Hmm. Interesting, bro. Yeah, no, like that's so funny how you said like you think that when you give people too much or when you give them access to each other, like they're just gonna cut you out. It's like never like that.
No, it's not.
It's like okay, it's kind of like how like when you launch the email marketing course, you probably thought like maybe our potential clients will see this and think like maybe they don't need us. Maybe they don't
Yes.
need the agency, even though like the goal was like, but actually what it is like people see how valuable your brain is and want more access to it. And they'll pay
Yes.
for that via the agency. And also like it
Yes.
reveals to people like how much they actually do need you. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if you love something, let it go. It's like, you know, if like some if you get the point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think as a great addition to the community or the course or the program. I think more stuff like that you can do, and I think you should also be charging more now.
Yeah, definitely probably could be charging more. And one of the cool things is like the community almost entirely is like self-run by its members. So we have like different channels now. And like whether it's my idea or the community idea, like the community actually keeps growing. So initially it started with a general channel and then it had different groups for based off the following size. So if you had 0 to 5K followers, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20K plus, those were like the original groups. And then people were like, oh, can I start sharing my Twitter links also within here? So I'm like, don't share within the LinkedIn groups but let me create another channel within the community for Twitter. So now people are helping each other engage on Twitter. We're not monetizing that. But again, I don't really care. It just makes it sticky. And then I'm like, all right, cool. Let me create a channel for business opportunities. So people are now bringing each other leads and coming to the group as a priority of like, hey, I want to hire from the group. Anyone do paid ads for info? Does anyone do email for ecom? Does anyone do, anyone have a good VA service? Does anyone have good bookkeeping? And bro, every day, like in this chat, there's probably 1 to 3 opportunities. I'd say not every opportunity leads to a closed deal, but some people are like, I'm hosting a summit if anyone wants to be a speaker, or hey, I'm starting a podcast if anyone wants to be a guest. And just creating that, like, I just saw people asking in the general channel about intros. I'm like, all right, well, now that multiple people have asked for intros and asked for certain things, this needs to be its own channel. And if I'm able to connect the members to bring each other leads, and this is all happening within the group, dude, for you to pay 500, 600, $700 a month, whatever it is, $1,000 a month, it's a no brainer because you have the knowledge of the course that's ongoing. You have the growth service that's ongoing. And then you have the lead flow, which is ongoing. Like, so it's really exciting to see like, what stem from it.
Dude, the fact that you're not charging at least $1,000 a month for this, like, makes me sick. Like, it just literally looks like you're lighting money on fire and burning it right before your eyes. Like, Chase, right? You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I need to see that price go up.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I probably should. I probably will. But for now, if people want to get in at the current price, they can. So in the coming weeks or months, it probably should and will change because the community is now about 2 months old and we haven't done any price hikes to reflect it. What about you though? What is your kind of tips more on like the info side?
Okay, let me tell you about mine. So this is super interesting. So 2 nights ago, I'm sitting in bed and I can't reveal too much about it. I don't want to talk
Okay.
about it actually at all. Maybe I'll tell you after. But I'm looking into a new venture that I think has the potential in the next 3 to 5 years to make me between $6 and $10 million a year and profit, and it's not online, and it's something that I'm very interested in doing, and I'm going to do it. Like I'm going to get started probably in the next few months. It's kind of seasonal, so I have to kind of time it right, but like I'm doing this. I've decided it. I'm doing it. I've already thought about it in my head. And I'm going down YouTube rabbit holes with knowing nothing. This is not an industry that I know anything about. Like it's nothing online. I have like no experience in doing this. I just know that my skills as a marketer and the money that I have in the bank willing to invest are going to make me successful no matter what. And
So
so
you're
I'm
selling
sitting,
fireworks.
pardon me?
You're gonna sell fireworks.
No, you need a license for that. I don't want to get a
Yeah.
license. Um, but I'm going through the YouTube rabbit hole as someone who's brand new to something. And
Okay.
I'm watching myself kind of as I go because it's very similar to how people probably look for copywriting stuff material from me. And so I've watched like dozens now of YouTube videos on this stuff. And I'm like watching myself and taking note of like what I care about the most, like types of videos and like the type of content. And it's helping me so much when it comes to like actually uploading stuff that I'm going to be able to benefit, like people can benefit from for copywriting, like to help get people into copy MBA. And like, so it's obviously I'm educating myself in the new thing. And also I'm realizing like, okay, I just gave myself like another 10 video ideas that are going to help me get people into copy MBA because I know what I can talk about because I know what interests me. Therefore, I know what's going to interest them. And it's like a very real sort of like look that okay. So like, I haven't been a beginner in anything in a while. Um, and it's cool that I'm like established, but it's not a good thing that I haven't learned anything fresh in a while. And so like putting myself back in this stage is sort of allowing me to figure out like what my customers are probably thinking. And it's very useful. So that's one thing.
So real quick, so you're basically almost the advice or almost like the process you're going through is you're kind of becoming the student in this thing that like you're really interested about, and you're kind of now seeing from like the student perspective, like, okay, like, what kind of content, is helping you move from I got an interest in this to like, oh dang, I actually want to do this. If I want to do this, I need to probably buy this, right? Like you're kind of almost becoming the student and being able to see your own journey as a copywriting coach, whatever the right word is, in reverse. Like you're reverse engineering and almost putting yourself back in the student mindset to create content that's relevant to, I don't know, people that would be in your sphere. Is that kind of right?
Exactly. And there's
Okay.
two like gurus in the space that I, if they had a product, I would buy from them. One guy's like he's like adjacent to it. So I'll probably end up working with him anyway.
Okay.
But like, I figured out exactly like how I came to them and sort of started to figure out like, who I would go to if I wanted to buy a product like this.
Okay.
And so like I'm like, okay, how do I make myself this guy? Which I think I kind of already am one of those guys. It's just like, but I have a pretty clear path of like what I need to do, and it's very cool because I haven't had this kind of vision in a long time. Second thing for this answer is we're moving to WAP. Do you know what WAP is?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this is something I've been planning on doing for a long time. Is like I need to have everything sort of like in like a hub. Like I need to have like community content and like the business side stuff like all in one place. WAP's gonna do that for us. Shout out Hunter Dickinson, I believe, has like hooked us up so far.
Sick.
And so I think that's gonna add a lot to like the actual experience of being in a course or coaching program. Um, so excited about that. I want to see like kind of like what we can build out, like how we can make it just easier to use for everybody. And so that'd be cool. But yeah, no, that was just like some insights that I had on like product side stuff or like teaching side stuff. Um, but yeah,
Heck yeah. I know we had maybe one more. Should we hold that for next week and wrap here? We're already kind
no,
of
it's all
long.
right. This is a quick one.
Okay, let's do it.
Hey, how many hours a week do you have of like free time?
What's defined as free time?
Time where you okay, maybe you're wasting time, maybe you're sitting there doing nothing. Like I'll give an example. I have a lot of like leisure phone time. probably like 4 hours a day minimum. And I could definitely be doing something different with that. Do you have any like leisure phone time where you're kind of just scrolling, not really being super productive?
I mean, dude, with kids, it's like, I wish I had free time. I mean, from the time I wake up, I'm hanging out with them, then I start work. I mean, while I'm online, my online hours are like 9 to 3, 8:30 to 3:30, depending on the day. I'm kind of messing around, but lately, I've been messing around when doing my phone stuff, like just researching or posting on social. I've been doing it on the treadmill. Like, I have a treadmill in my house, so I basically have done, like, the reply to DMs or responding to emails or posting on social. I've now done that to, like, do, like, a half hour, 45 minutes on the treadmill. Um, Outside of that, dude, like, I was eating an acai bowl earlier, and I was watching, like, a YouTube video. Like, I never ever take a lunch break, nor do I ever watch YouTube videos. So I kind of combine those and watch like a 10-minute YouTube video, which is like not something I do. So I don't have a lot of like leisure time. I'd say primarily like at night, my wife likes to watch TV before bed. Depending on what she's watching, I'll be off my phone, or a lot of times I'll be on my phone. But at that point, like my brain's already fried. I'm kind of just like reading, learning, kind of checking things for tomorrow, those types of things. So I'd probably say maybe an hour a day of leisure time, hour and a half a day.
Okay, interesting. Let me ask you this, Chase. Do you want to have a little Diamond download book club?
Diamond Download Book Club. Uh,
Let me
Maybe. I don't really
let me
I don't
explain.
really love reading, but pitch me.
Okay, so neither do I. But I just finished reading where is it? This right here. Man's Search for Meaning for me,
Okay.
DeFranco. Um, I'm using a $50 bill as the bookmark. So I'm not finished. I got like 20 pages left. But by the time this comes out, it'll be done. And crushed it on the plane from Dallas back to Miami. And I was thinking, like, damn, like this is probably really good for me. Like this is probably really good for me. And like I honestly think it would be good for content, and it might be good for the community of the 11 people who watch Diamond Download. And maybe read a book with us, and we don't have to do it today. But I'm thinking like it might be kind of cool if we pick like a really light book, like something really, really light that's like related to business or even just self development in some sort of, you know, capacity. If like you and I read it and like, bro, if it's like a 150 page book, like we can crush that in like 3 or 4 total hours. And so in a week, we'll have the time. And then so we can assign the book next Tuesday or something. And then the Tuesday after, we can come back and do a little segment on it and then talk about other stuff. And then the people in comments, all 12, can be like, oh, yeah, they can read along. You know what I mean? And they can read what we're reading. And I just thought it would be kind of good because I know that we both spend a lot of time on our phone and I'm trying to stop that. And I want to read more. And I feel like one of the few ways that I could do that is if you and I do it together.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm open to it. I don't know about right now. I'm trying to start golfing weekly. So for my few hours a week that I have free, I'm trying to start golfing weekly. So once I get the weekly tee time going and I have a good flow, any excess time this might be a good fit. I'll support you in this though. Was that?
Golfing weekly, huh?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I just joined like this local country club program. It's a public club, but they have got this like players club where you can book tee times earlier and you get discounts. So I'm gonna kind of test that out, see how that goes, see if I can play weekly, and then I'm gonna try to join like an actual country club. So those are my current goals with my access time, but maybe in the near future we could do this. If not, I support you.
All right. All right. Sounds good. Hey, anyone in the comments, if you guys have a book that you want me to read and I can tell Chase about it, maybe I'll just do the book club by myself,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds good.
man.
That
Let
way
me
you get
know
an
what you
extra
thought.
listener. You got 13 now.
All right, man. Hey, this is a great episode. Anything else you want to say?
No, all good. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching Download. Send a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week.
Cheers, man. Bye.
Bye.